The VA operates in 25%, right? Because they're always guaranteeing 25% of the loan. That's the guarantee, right? That's why so many lenders really go after VA loans, because there's such a big guarantee. So we're going to take the conforming loan limit, 806,500, divide that by 4, it leaves us with 201,625. We're going to deduct my 116, I don't know, 250, that's what it is, out of that, because that's the entitlement that I've used on my current VA loan. So that leaves me with 85,375. And then we're going to multiply that by 4. Again, it's 25%. So I could purchase a house up to $341,500 with 0% down. Okay. As long as I qualify for that new purchase, right? Again, it's qualify. You have to qualify, but I have enough entitlement remaining or left over to purchase up to $341,500. So that's 0% down. So what happens if I want to purchase a $500,000 house? So 500,000 minus 341,500. Oops. Actually, let me go over here really quick.
Now I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Now, okay, why is it that, we're capped at that? Well, like, what can we do if we wanted to buy this $500,000 house? That doesn't mean that we're capped at that amount, right? That 341,500.
No. And again, before you jumped on, I hesitate because sometimes I say it because I think it in my mind, and people, they like to correct, because we all I know more than you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no loan limit. There's a max amount you could purchase with 0% down. Okay. So my max is the 341,500. I want to buy a $500,000 purchase price. The difference is 158,500. So then we're going to multiply it by 0.25%. This is the awesome thing, is that you don't have to come in with 158,500. You have to come in with 25% of the difference. Okay. So
that's for the guarantee. Yep.
That covers your guarantee, right? The VA is going to cover, that, and then you're going to kind of come in with your own guarantee in a sense, right? I don't want to get too much into the weeds on it, but so your down payment on my down payment on a $500,000 house, as long as I qualify, is $39,625. Okay. So that's how second tier entitlement should be calculated, and should be calculated every single time before a veteran gets under contract. Reason being is Justin, you've heard the horror stories. I've heard them. Mm-hmm. Hey, by the way, airman, Marine, soldier, right? Sorry, man, you got to come in with $40,000. Yep. And you're like, well, what the hell? I got my VA loan. I thought I could do 0% down. No, you cannot, right? Second tier entitlement, you have to calculate that out. Okay. So let's run through that again one more time. Okay. So 806,500. Oops, I keep going on my screen. 806,500 conforming loan limit. This is simply how you do it. There's spreadsheets out there. There's calculators. This is a simple way to do it. And if you have one, Justin, double check me. 806,500, divide that by 4, right? Take your entitlement that you've used on your COE, deduct that 85,374, multiply it by 4 again, because the VA operates in 25%. That's what they guarantee. I can purchase up to 341,500. All right. And then deduct 500 from it because I want to purchase that. Multiply it by 25, 39,625. Okay. So that's second tier entitlement, right? And that's all based off of my COE, 550. Okay. This is my COE. I've used $116,550 of entitlement. And this is how we do bonus or second tier entitlement. This is how we calculate how much a veteran can purchase up to a dollar amount with 0% down with that.
I wanted to add one thing in on that. So that is for most counties in the U.S., but also for the high cost areas. So for instance, for me, pretty much all of New York is a high cost area, well, not upstate New York, but all the boroughs, Long Island, a lot of the areas that I operate out of, DC, Maryland, all that. So in high cost areas, we can actually use a lot more too. So we can actually use 1,209,750. So we divide that by 4. You know,
Right.
I don't know if you wanted to show that for that scenario. So if that veteran was moving, say, from, you know, they're stationed out in, you know, Fort Polk or something like that, but now all of a sudden they're moving out to be stationed at Fort Hamilton in Brooklyn, or, you know, Quantico, Virginia, and they're going to be moving to those high cost areas, they can actually get a lot more, you know. So, because that does pertain to a lot of folks moving into like higher populous areas. You know, high cost areas you can just think of as urban environments, like high cost, you know, that have a much higher standard of living. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, for sure. And so it's just all about the calculation. It's all about getting with a loan officer that really knows how that works, right? Can properly calculate your remaining entitlement, really how much you can purchase 0%, and then can properly calculate what your down payment is going to be. Because the VA loan does have a down payment when you exceed your entitlement amount with that.
Yes.
And at the beginning of this, I talked about the 2025 conforming loan limit and how it impacts or how it is going to impact veterans in active duty. It doesn't really impact them because, again, the VA doesn't have a loan limit. Lenders may have that. But you can see the difference. We went from what was it, 766?
All the way up to 806, 500.
806. What does that do for somebody like myself who has a VA loan, right? Now I could just, that's so much more I can purchase on second tier entitlement. Okay. So I already have a couple.
What was the amount on that COE again? What was the entitlement used?
116,550.
116,550.
Right.
So I was just doing the calculations real quick because I just wanted to get the number for a high cost area. So your number was around like 340 in, you know, whatever it was, right? Yeah. In most of the US, but in high cost areas, that number can go as high as 743,550. So, you know, it's a tremendous difference if someone's looking in a high cost area. And this is why it's so crucial to make sure that you get with a lender who knows their stuff, because, you know, a lender might not know where a high cost area is, or they might just qualify you based off the conforming loan limit for that area, not qualify you off of that $1.2 million number. So it's a, you know, a difference of $400,000. And if they're buying in a high cost area, they're definitely going to need it, you know?
Yeah.
So
no,
I wanted to throw it in there. I didn't want to steal your thunder too much, but, you know, I just thought that was
fine. That's why I brought you on, because you're in a different market than me. So there's going to be different ways that we're going to look at certain things. So it's, again, that's a really good point. You, again, as always, you want to make sure you're working with a good lender, right? But if you're using your VA loan, you want to work with somebody who really understands the handbook, understands the high cost areas, so on and so forth, right?
Exactly.
With that. I mean, that's the big thing. And so that's how these new conforming loan limits are going to impact VA buyers. I already have a couple in my mind that I talked to probably a month ago, right? They're looking at renting out their current property and then buying another one. And so I think one of them was like a $25,000 down payment. I bet you if I calculate it out, they're going to be able to purchase up to however much was 0% down. So what we're looking at. The other thing too, we're going to do a series. We're going to do an FHA versus VA, right? But one of them that we will talk about here is the 100-mile rule, right? FHA has a 100-mile rule. VA does not have a 100-mile rule. I could literally buy the house right next door.
Don't
FHA, a new primary, and I'm going to rent out
a shirt that says "Don't FHA my VA," because you know so many people think FHA and VA just because they're both Govy loans.
Yeah,
that they're the same thing, but they're not. Completely different animals. You know.
Yeah. Yep. So, and I mean, again, and these are all things that I've come across, and Justin, I'm sure you've come across, and these are all things that I run into, you know, with veterans, working with other loan officers or just agents telling me things. And I'm like, whoa, that's not correct, right? This is the right way that you do it. So with that, and one thing else I wanted to point out too, because I came across this, you see where it says the veteran's basic entitlement is 0 right there? That doesn't mean that I don't have entitlement left. Okay. What that means is that I've used my basic entitlement. And so what I need to do as a loan officer, I have to complete the second tier entitlement or remaining entitlement calculation out to see how much said veteran can purchase. Because I had a veteran wanting to purchase, And the loan officer said, well, you can't use your VA loan again because it
Yeah.
says veterans basic entitlement is 0. And I was like, man, get out of here.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing. But so I think that's really it. That's all I really want to talk about. And Justin, before we get off, I'll let you all recap here. So we talked about the conforming loan limit 2025, right? 806,500. What that does is increase how much a veteran can purchase on using it a second time, a third time, whatever it is. Okay. We talked about one-time restoration, right? One-time restoration is for one time only, I can get full restoration of my entitlements, and I can go purchase however much I want to, as long as I qualify for it, without selling my current house. The catch is that I have to sell both houses, dispose of both houses, if I want to go use my VA loan again for a third time. So that's one-time restoration, okay? The VA does not have a 100-mile rule like FHA. I can literally buy the house right next door. And then calculating remaining entitlement, very crucial, because there is going to be a certain dollar amount that will hit that doesn't require 0% down. Anything above and beyond that, it's going to have a down payment requirement of 25% of the difference. So I'll give you a couple minutes since you're on late, Justin. Just kind of thoughts on that, things you've run into, maybe we need to talk about, just really quick on that.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. Don't FHA my VA is a big thing, and maybe we'll get towards whatever else we're going into after that. But I like what you said is you literally can buy the house next door. But I had someone ask me this question literally last week, and what I said to them was, and I think this was actually over one of those Facebook like veteran groups. The house that you're moving into has to either be superior or more conducive to your lifestyle, so it has to be superior in the sense that it has to be either a larger house or a newer house, or just an overall more updated house, or it has to be more conducive to your lifestyle where maybe you're downsizing, maybe you had too large of a house because you had a mother-in-law living with you or something, and she moved out, so now you're downsizing into another house. You can use it for reasons like that. But I think
That's a simple letter of explanation, right? I had the mother-in-law. She's no longer with us, whether I kicked her out or she's no longer with us. Write a letter of explanation, we're downsizing. So,
and I didn't want to get too much into the weeds on that, but I definitely think that it was good to show the calculations. I thought that was great showing that up there. That's why I had to add in my little 2 cents, because there are so many people. Like, I do a lot on the East Coast, and I know you're more Midwest and on the West Coast too. But over here on the East Coast, like, everything is a high cost area, and the great thing about it is, if I did, I forget what my entitlement was offhand, but I know for my house, right, I bought it was $670 when I bought it. And when I actually calculate it for what I still have remaining for my entitlement, I'm close to $700,000, which I can buy putting 0% down, which is great, because I don't have to worry about coming up with a tremendous down payment. I still have that much time left. So there's probably so many veterans out there that don't realize, oh, I used my VA loan once, so I can't use it again. I'm going to use a different kind of loan. And it takes someone like us to come in and say, no, check it out. We're going to make sure that you're going to use all of that second tier entitlement. You can buy it up to $700K. And but my house is $800,000. Okay, put $25,000 down for each $100,000 above the loan limit.
right.
that you would be, and it's great. It really is. And I think capping it off with the fact that when you're first using your VA loan, there is no loan limit. You can literally get a $5 million mansion with a VA loan, putting 0% down. If, of course, you make, however much money that is a month. If you make $100,000 a month, maybe you could do it. Not many of us out there, have that kind of income, but the fact that you can use it is a huge, huge benefit.
Yeah. And I think the story that we really, I think we talk about too much. We talk about a lot of education, this and that, but I think if we could just pull one thing out of it is, I guess maybe there's there's so much out there that is untrue about the VA loan. And so you really have to reach out. I call a lot of agents and I'm like, hey, if you get something turned down, let me take a look at it. 70% of the time, I'm able to figure out a way to get it done, whether I'm diving into the handbook and just figuring out little things or whatever have you. A lot of times you can get those done. 70% of the time you can get those VA loans done. And it's just really, you just gotta, find somebody that really knows the VA loan and reach out to them, because there's a lot of things out there, unfortunately, that aren't true. And our veterans are put into, a conforming loan with 20% down,
Yeah.
So
yeah. Don't let the veterans fall flat on their faces, especially when there's people out there.
No, for sure. All right, cool, my man. Well, I'm sorry we had some technical difficulties on there. But all good. So, all right, man. So, yeah, conforming loan limits, big win for veterans. Make sure you're properly calculating out your remaining entitlement, because you may have a $40,000 down payment at the end of escrow. So if your loan officer has not talked about your second tier entitlement or your remaining entitlement, or agents, if your agent or if your loan officer hasn't talked to your client about that, have that conversation with them, because they could be a big $40,000 check at the end of the day, at the end of the transaction, that they may not have. So, all right, man, I appreciate your time, Justin, and have a good, I think we should catch up next week or the week after. If not, then have a good Christmas and New Year's and stuff. So, all right, man.
All right. Later. Out here.